so that the ones that our heroes past has actually done will not be in vain. Thank you.
I mean, I even saw a picture online, I think maybe 4 days ago, where is he the River State governor? You understand? He gave Bonner Boy a house, sorry, a land and a house to build on, or whatever he said that time. And I saw someone quoting the River State government saying, please help us provide seats and chairs for these students. That the state of the community, of the school rather, is nothing to write home about. And when you go online and you see all these northern states also, you see where all these kids are sitting on the floor. And it's alarming and sad that we are saying our future. The future, what do they want to say about the past, the heroes? Can they call them heroes, or are we going to call them villains?
So, if I had to talk about that, about coming from what we call the heroes and the labor of our heroes past, I would want to take a clue from the normal architectural structure of a building. You know, it's just like we've been told that for every building, the foundation of every building must be solid. And a building looking very, very flamboyant without a solid foundation is as good as no building at all. But you would also want to ask yourself if at the end of the day people live inside the foundation or they live inside the building. So Toby was talking about some of our heroes past. Yes, we have heroes past, and if we are not careful, the generation next would wonder whether we have heroes past. Because they delivered, and quite to be frank and to be fair on them, they delivered the foundation. The foundation is the fact that we could call ourselves Nigerian. Maybe not talking about, yes, part of them also delivered democracy to us. Maybe not in the type of system of government I would not want to, because not many people actually believe that we as a people we should be running democracy as a system of government. I have my reservation about democracy, and that is the discussion for some other time. But let's talk about the fact that some people are putting work to get us to where we are right now, which we could say that it is the foundation, that they've done the foundation. But if we fail to realize that a building, what makes a building, it's not just the foundation, but the structures itself, the layers upon layers, the bricks, the walls, the ceiling, then before painting, and then interior designs and the rest. And that's where my point is, that individuals, like Toby have emphasized on the fact that government must do this, must do this. I buy into that idea, but much more, I would say that individuals must play their parts in order for us to have a building livable. If not, we would have heroes whose past we would not be able to trace. And that is, we are on that verge. Yes, we are at that cross junction already. When with the likes of discussions like IPOB, Odua Nation, we are at that verge. So where the presenter mentioned some of the names of our heroes past that were very instrumental in delivering a nation. By the time we divided this country, there won't be a nation to trace them, to trace their achievements. We have heroes who composed the Nigerian National Anthem. When there is no longer a nation called Nigeria and there is no need for the anthem, would that make sense? So in order for us to protect our heroes past, then the present must begin to do their own active service to this nation. If not, there won't be any hero.
Then to buttress Sean's point about the heroes and with no support to any political party or their slang, because some slang are actually attributed to some of these. Each and every individual should propose in their heart to start something positive. I don't want to use the word change, so that you don't think
Yes.
we are sentimental about one political party. So you should propose in your heart. And says it starts with the little going on the street and taking a sachet of water and dropping it on the road. It starts as little as that. Now, if each and every one of us can propose, I've started it actually because my viewers might actually be looking at me and say, okay, are you not a cupid? Myself, if I move around now with some of these things, immediately I'm done with them and there's nowhere to discharge them, I put them into my pocket. By doing that, I'm an hero in my own cycle. It doesn't necessarily mean someone must see me or actually commend me. Now, in that way, I've solved a lot of problems. I've solved flood, I've solved littering of the environment, I've solved the problem of viruses, diseases, and the likes. So some of these things actually, apart from our heroes past, apart from we putting the blame on the government, some of us as an individual have to actually cultivate a kind of positive attitudinal change so that we all can be celebrated as an hero altogether.
Thank you, Mr. Shubi. So, like I said, I was on Twitter, I was checking, I was scrolling. Then I think this Babadisha case where Yabojo came out and said Nigeria's problem is not anyone but ourselves. Until we start loving each other, and I'm still going to, in that national anthem, say with love and unity. Yeah. So can we say the leaders we have now, they don't have love in them? Is it that they don't want the unity that they swore, or when you are going to be swearing as the president, you have to sing the national anthem, you have to pledge, you have to do all these things. You see that they want this unity in the country. When I saw that Yabujo stuff on Twitter, I was checking, I think our Coco Doctor or something. I saw it there also where he was talking about Nigeria's problem being the people in Nigeria. Like he said now, by picking a sachet of pure water, I've learned from him today that I'm also a corporate, I'll not lie.
We all are. We all have done this.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I've stopped long time ago.
Okay. It happens that it's the Nigerian thing that you are in the bus and you are done with it. You don't throw it in the bus.
You just throw it, yeah.
Do you understand? So, by listening to intellect and allowing people to talk to you and for you to understand that we have to cultivate and help each other out, whether it's by picking someone pure water liner you saw on the ground, or whether it's by showing love to your neighbor that don't have anything, you understand, by helping out, or whether it's by doing all sorts of things to take people's problem to be your own problem. Because at the end of the day, these thugs, if we are not careful, they will come into our home and beat us up for not taking care of them, for what we should have done.
All right, Mr. Kadi, let me quickly chip in something. One of the major problems facing our dear nation is religion and ethnicity. Now, some of these officers, you are trying to know if maybe these our so-called politicians and leaders does not have the love of the nation at maybe when they read the national anthem and they swearing in and the pledges and the likes. Some of them does not know the in-depth meaning of what they are reading. Someone said, and I quote the person, he said, if at the swearing in, people are actually asked to swear with Ogun, our real religious, our traditional religious, this is Cutlass, this is Shango and the likes. By the time you are assuming office, if I swear to serve the people and I'm actually serving my pocket, this and that should happen. People will run away from political offices. because it has reached a stage whereby each and every individual wanting to vie for a post at any of the executive level are actually fighting for their own pocket. You hear the popular slang going around now that team tèmi náà bá débẹ̀ kémi náà jẹ́ ètò máa jẹ kí fi sílẹ̀, the popular national cake. When you get there, quote and unquote, put your own sword and cut your own path and then you move on. So these things should not be. These things should not be. So it's not as if some of them are not actually having the love of the country at heart. Some of them actually do. But, can I say the wave of things actually shifted their actions, their motives, their objective, their purpose of being elected into office. And I just want to say this, that our government and our leaders, our so-called leaders, actually need to look into this. I was going to office one morning and in a company of some of my friends, and we saw the age bracket shouldn't be within 7 to 10 years old. Very early in the morning, as early as 6:45, he has wrapped the so-called marijuana, and so heavy the smoke was so choky. Even though we were inside the car, the smoke was actually coming into so that you know how thick the guy has actually, mixed all the concussions and everything together. Then once somebody made a statement, he said, when we grow up, these are the children of the people that will disturb our own children. Which is absolutely right. Because as time goes on, the guy becomes to deteriorate, and as time goes on, fine, he's homeless now. He's homeless. As time goes on, he wants to actually meet up end means. Without work, without job, without proper upbringing. What does he go into? Armed robbery. So we actually need to put the love of the nation, put the love of the people who actually elected us into office. We need to put it at heart. Well, each and every individual of this politician could actually answer if they truly love us as a nation or not, because the old promise and the election campaign blah 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 that they do is we will serve you when we get there, but when they enter office, some of them will even change their life. You can't even reach them again.
Then adding to that, love and unity, and the national anthem as a whole. If you check the national anthem as a whole, I think it's a call to action. It's a verb. If you have to describe the whole anthem as a whole, and if it is verb, then it does not just end at professing or confession, and that's what we do. We just lay claim on confessing the national anthem, which takes us further to the fact that if it is an action, if it is what is expected, then it must be taught. I don't think national anthem should just end at assemblies in our schools.
It should be part of us as an individual.
This is what I want to do.
And I'm going to be challenging someone at home to take up this task, to begin to go into schools and teach them extracurricular activities, teaching them about the national anthem. Because if you have a company, you will be familiar with what is called core values.
Core values, yes.
And core values are not just something you paste on the wall and then you assume that all your colleagues would see. It's something, it's something that, yes, and if it must be a way of life, it must be taught. It must be taught. It can't just be, like I said, for most of us, we didn't even know the words.
The word is, the word is correctly.
The national anthem,
yes.
It's about maybe secondary school, or even for some, even tertiary, they still don't know the word is.
Maybe because we are not a native speaker. That's how it goes.
There's no excuse. There's no excuse to me. So we must start from the point of educating the people. This is when the people are educated. This is when I know that I'm expected to act in a certain way. That is when I can now demand it from someone else. It is, and it must start from us educating and educating and educating. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Cheryl. Thank you very much, Toby. So we are coming to the to a wrap of this edition. Um, we are almost at the last stanza. So the next one says peace and unity. Oh, before peace and unity, said to serve with heart and mind. I think we have actually dealt with that. And we said one nation bound in freedom. So it means that if we are educated, if we educate ourselves, we educate people around us, we will live in unity. We will be free. There will not be any bound. We will not be bound to anyone. Nobody who can come and bamboozle you with things that they don't mean. You'll be able to demand the right thing from your leader, even from yourself. And going by what Toby said, by picking it's
as little
as picking dirt on the floor and educating even children. Some of these children after snack, you see them, they eat it and they drop it and they feel like it's normal. So these are the little things that we are saying right now, that the national anthem is beyond just citing it, is beyond just singing it, but meaning the words, understanding what it really stands for, and then acting it out.
One nation born in freedom. In 1 minute, I feel is you having the back of your brother. Is you having your brother at heart. Now, let's cite an example of our brothers in the East, where the main source of income into our dear nation is from their side. For some of us that has actually visited the south or the southeastern part of Nigeria, we know the issues they have with their water, with their fishes, with their farm. Because the oil we get from their side are actually it's affecting their farmland. It's a whole lot of things. You see fishes dying on top of the water. Now, if you have our brothers at heart, there are some things that should actually put in place to be like a compensation. Although there are some of these things in hand, but they still feel that this national cake is not equally divided among all of us. So one nation bound, if you actually want to go by this one nation bound in freedom, peace, and unity, we should actually be reasonable and actually work in line to satisfy everybody according to what they desire and a way of living in a standard way of life. So I feel this freedom should actually start from each and every individual, then to our government, to people who are actually affected or that are not how can I put it now, that are not having a kind of check and balance in the distribution of the Nigerian resources.
Thank you, Mr. Toby. I'd like to ask Mr. Shem, or I will say it like this, so that you can talk on what he said. The main topic for today is whether our leaders are serving us right or not. Now, if we are talking about one nation bound in freedom, and we are talking about education, like we stated earlier, can we now say, are these people educated? And there's difference in education. You can be educated through school, or you can be educated through life. You understand? That is different. Now, does this education make our leaders understand what Mr. Toby has said, that one nation bound in freedom, that they understand the feeling, they are educated enough, you understand, sound enough to know the sufferings of the people in the southeast and south, like you said, and they are able to provide solution for them. Are they educated, or are they not educated, or they know, or they are just doing what they feel like they should just do?
So your question is a bit tricky. I would say they are not educated, and I would not totally say that they are educated. And this will answer the question. To be bound in freedom, the word bound means agreed. To agree So this nation and some of our founding fathers came from north, then the south, the western, the eastern parts, came together to agree to form a nation, and that is why we are here. They agreed to form a nation, or let me say, came together to get independence for a nation in code, because they didn't agree to form a nation. The idea for a nation started in 1914 by Lord Lugard. So let me correct my statement. So the first question is, have we really agreed to be a nation in the first place? Because if we are not agreed to be a nation, then we will not operate as a nation. We would continue begin to operate in our individualistic tendencies and styles, and that is what is obvious in our environment. And let me correct this: that someone came from the west does not mean they favor the west. You can go and check the present president of Nigeria and his hometown; it has not changed. The past one hasn't changed too. So it's not as if they diverted the resources of the nation to no. The kind of the disunity that we are operating and we are suffering as a society is not even the one that recognizes and associates with the ethnicity. So it's the one that associates only with themselves and themselves alone. The individualism is that deeply rooted. So to be bound now means that you have to be agreed. But this is why I would say, because many people have said in recent times that Nigeria should do consensus, we should do a poll public opinion about whether we want to stay together or go our separate ways. But I won't deliver a freedom to a slave. I won't ask a slave whether he wants to be freed or not, because even after freedom, a slave will still be a slave. So the first question and the first thing we need to address first as youth is not division, it's education. It is when we have education, it is informed people that should even draft agreement in the first place. To come and say, oh, this is how we would operate. This is to what extent that we will do. So if some people says, oh, the northern part have been favorable, they've had all the resources, come and check the northern part. They don't even have the education. So the problem of Nigeria is across broad. It's not as if the northern education is fantastic. If it's fantastic, we won't be saving money to travel abroad to go and school. So it's across board. The individualism in us and the individualistic of our leaders, because I would not portray it to, because I believe everyone, each and every one of us, we are leaders, and we should exercise our level of influence in our area of influence. So I think that the question is that we are not born, and the reason why we are not born, because it takes informed people to come together and agree whether they want to be together.
So with what you just said, are you now saying that the elites of this country are not speaking up?
The individualism of them obviously will not make them speak up, because like Toby have said over and over again, is that everybody is just interested in the fair cake, in the share of cake, of the national cake.
Yes.
And if that's the case, it means that once I'm settled, so I make noise, I shout, then they call you aside and say, what do you need? Then once they give me what I need, maybe in some cases it might just be contract, in some cases it might just be political appointment, in some cases we have not seen ourselves as a board.
Like you said, I saw the Loretta Ochichi, I don't know her name, but she's part of the cabinet of the Buhari.
Okay.
I saw a placard where she was showing 140 naira is too much, the price hike is too much.
Wow.
But now she's
making case for the administration that
case for the administration that employed her. I've never seen her go to the street and say, no.
that's always been our case, and that will always be our case until we teach people, and starting from the young ones, until we take education, the national education, not the individualistic education that we have been proposing and projecting, the one that would talk about the nation, that will educate everyone about our commitment to the nation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
coming.
Thank you for
So
coming.
much more.
So, to be the end of our the discuss show, and you can see here that we are talking about the rot that the country has been in, and we are trying to provide solutions to what can be done to make it right. It's not too late to stand up for what you know is right. It's not too late for you to speak out, and that's why on this show we are not going to be having only ourselves. We are going to be having different people anchoring the show, talking about what is wrong, where have we gotten it wrong in the country, and okay, fine, after knowing the problem, what can be done, how can we affect people, how can we make people know that the need to do what is right and to do what is good, and by educating, like we said on the show, education is not by you going to school alone. Education is by information about things you know, about things that you need to understand, that okay, this is right, I need to do it right, and I need to do this. That's what we are going to be talking about on the discuss show. So thank you for having us. So Becky, do you have anything for the viewers at home?
Yeah, we've heard it all. Let's go out there and educate others so that we can have a better Nigeria. Thank you very much. I'll
Thank you
see
very
you
much.
again.